Restoring lava lamps is not for the faint of heart, and while it doesn't particularly take any special set of skills, it does take a lot of patience. 3 months ago, a viewer sent me one of their nostalgic lava lamps. It's a wizard lamp and it was full of glitter, and they wanted it converted to a lava lamp that had black, gooey, flowy lava inside of it. When I initially took on this project, I assumed it was going to take a couple of days. Yep, here we are.
Many months later.
But I figured just because it took me 3 months, it doesn't have to take you 3 months. So I wanted to compile all of the pieces of information that we learned along the way for restoring this lamp into one video in case it happens to be helpful for anybody. I'll try and put detailed chapters down below so that you can ideally hop to the exact spot that you need. But if you're just generally interested in lava lamps or restoration videos, then buckle up and let's get into it. Now, I did just want to start with a brief history on the wizard lamps because I do think that it's kind of interesting. I keep saying the phrase wizard lamp like everybody knows what I'm talking about. If you're not, basically what you're looking at over here is a wizard lamp. They were produced by Lava Lite from 1998 till 2003, and they come in a bunch of different colorways. Now, personally, nowadays, the ones that I see tend to almost always be glitter on the resale market, but they did also originally come in lava variations as well. At least as of today, if you're trying to buy one on the resale market, I typically see them for sale for about $50 to $250. It really just depends on the condition, the color variation, and so many other factors. Personally, when I buy used lava lamps, I like to buy the ones that are missing caps because I 3D print my own. It allows me to save some money, and it also allows me to get a good deal on some cool lamps. There are a few other variations of these that look somewhat similar. For instance, the Carlisle lamp. Those predated these and were produced from 1974 to 1984, and the big difference that you'll see between them is the Carlisles have a flat top. My personal favorite feature of the wizard lamps are the star and moon cutouts on the base because as the light shines through, it projects little stars and moons throughout your office or wherever you have this lamp. For a while, I thought that these were officially called starlight lamps, but I guess that is just a made-up marketing term by resellers on eBay. At least that's what I've been told in the comments. But now that we've gotten to know this guy, let's get into what this restoration looked like. The main complaint that this person had about the lamp was that although at one point it did look nice, the water no longer had much color in it and the glitter was pretty dissipated. So overall, it just left a lot to be desired in comparison to what it could have been. Their request all along had been that they wanted clear liquid, black wax, and a gooey, snaky flow. Flow basically just refers to, well, exactly what it sounds like, the way that the lamp itself flows in the wax in their moves. To oversimplify it, basically your flow can be more blobby or more spherical or more snaky and gooey, which is more like long columns up and down. But of course, I never intended for this lamp to take as long to restore as it did. But one thing that is worth noting is when I was going back and forth with this person, they were kind of like, hey, go ahead, experiment, take your time, it's no rush. And accidentally, I kind of ran with that. Keep that in mind, if you followed this series on shorts, then you may know that this lamp temporarily took a twist to the glitter hoo-ha lamp. If you know, you know. Basically, because I knew that I was going to be dumping the fluid anyway, I figured we might as well just have some fun with it and start throwing extra supplies in it and see what we could make. The first observation about these wizard lamps that I made when I uncapped it, that is also true about mine right here, is that the liquid inside of these stinks like old people, which I can say because I'm old. Anyway, if you're working on one of these lamps, be prepared because the second that I uncapped it, my entire kitchen smelled strongly of mothballs. I'm also no expert, but maybe wear a respirator. Anyway, in terms of additions that we made in here, something that I've tried in the past, which strangely enough worked, is adding tattoo ink into the water. However, what I found when I added it into the existing glitter water is that it did not incorporate at all, which to me tells me that the fluid in here is not water soluble, or it's hydrophobic, or it's not water. It's something else, which I think we determined based on the smell. Anyway, with some stirring, I was able to get alcohol inks to incorporate, but then from there, I just started adding all of the glitter I could find in my house. And honestly, this gave us the coolest lamp ever. Like, it is probably to date the coolest thing that I've ever made inside of a lava lamp. But it was short-lived. Unfortunately, within about an hour, all of the glitter inside of there started to melt, it lost its color, and in my opinion, it kind of looked like raw sewage. Some of you said it looked like carbon fiber, some of you were into it, you liked it. It wasn't for me. But basically, takeaway and lesson learned here, I would say, is if you're going to be trying to recreate a glitter lamp, make sure that the glitter that you are adding into the lamp is heat resistant or it's not going to melt. Some people in the comments had mentioned using metal glitter, which I'm not sure if it would just sink to the bottom. However, the liquid that was in here did seem to have a pretty high density and was really good at suspending almost anything that I put in here in it. But anyway, we had our fun and games with the glitter, but it was time to actually get to work. However, this presented a new problem, which was cleaning the lamp. I did not expect this, but the combination of the mica powder and the glitter and the fluid that was inside of here really just made an absolute disaster of my globe. Fortunately, this is where our 420 friendly friends came to the rescue. I had actually never tried this method until now, but basically it was recommended to me to put rubbing alcohol and salt into the bottle and shake it up. Unfortunately, at the time, the only salt that I had was Maldon salt. I'm probably not pronouncing that correct. Anyway, wasn't the most cost-effective way to clean the bottle, but it worked amazing. And it has since then become the only method that I use for cleaning my lava lamp globes. I did get some comments after that of people saying that you had to be careful because, like, in theory, the salt could scar the inside of the glass. I personally did not find that to be the case, and I've used that on a ton of globes, but I guess with that said, proceed with caution. Now from here, we really could talk for the next 30 minutes about the total process for restoring a lava lamp and how to convert it and how to add the wax back in. With that said, I do have complete videos on buying kits from Lava Lab Creations and using those to restore the lava lamps that you have. I have it both for a standard lamp and a grande lamp specifically. I'd recommend going to check those videos out after you finish this. But in short, basically we emptied the globe, we cleaned the globe, we melted the wax, we put the wax back in. But this is when we hit our first real snafu along the way, which was that the black wax dye that I thought that I had was actually not black wax dye. It's black wax dye for tinting, which turned our wax maroon. Now, personally, I thought that this was a lovely color. I loved it. It was great, but it was not what this person wanted. They did not want a maroon lamp. Now, the cool thing is that there are companies out there like Lava Lab Creations that make these really niche products specifically for lava lamps. The problem is, because they are really small companies, they don't always have everything in stock. You have to wait, it has to ship. You know, not every small business is Amazon. There is, you know, it's just not like you're not going to get it on overnight delivery. So every time that we had to order something like this for the lamp, just know that it's adding like days, if not weeks, onto the process, which again is part of the reason why this kept dragging out so long. Anyway, fast forward a few days and the new wax dye shows up. And this is where I get lazy and cause myself a lot of problems. Instead of just from scratch remaking the whole new batch of wax, what did I do? I added more black wax dye to the existing already pre-dyed wax. And because, you know, we wanted it really black, we wanted it really dark, I added a shit ton of dye. Well, the problem that we learned later that we got into this process is the more dye you add, it definitely changes the flow and just the behavior of the wax itself, which rears its ugly head the deeper that we get into this project. So if for some reason you need to double dye your wax, I would probably recommend against doing that. And overall, I would recommend using the least amount of dye that you possibly have to, which honestly is not as much as you think you have to add. I guess technically it was one step before this that I realized this problem as well, but inside the lamp that got shipped to me, it had a 30-watt bulb in there, which seemed to be just fine for making the glitter inside flow. However, when it came to getting the lava to flow, it was not moving. I ended up replacing this with a 40-watt S11 120-watt bulb, and that ended up working just fine for me. I do constantly get a lot of people in the comments who are like, I can't find a bulb for the lava lamps. And it does confuse me a little bit because you literally just have to Google lava lamp bulb and you will find incandescent bulbs. I do get that it's like a little hard to know which one you need specifically, but if you look inside the lamp or on the tag of your lamp, typically there will be a sticker that tells you somewhere what type of bulb it takes. And if for some reason that's not there and you take a picture of your lamp, you can either upload it to a Facebook group or Reddit or ChatGPT, whatever floats your boat, and you will be able to find out what kind of bulb you need for that lamp specifically. Anyway, at this point, we were finally able to get our maroon/over-dyed wax flowing. And generally speaking, if your wax is only sitting at the bottom of the lamp and it isn't flowing to the top, that is an indication that it probably is a bulb problem. Not always, but usually. Now, had this person not specified a specific type of flow that they wanted, in theory, we could have been done here. However, as you may remember from the beginning of the video, this person wanted a gooey, snaky flow. At this point, the wax was very, very blobby. Generally speaking, the way that you will typically achieve a snaky flow is you're going to add up to the recommended amount of surf for the size of lamp that you have, and then from there, add the recommended dosage of magic surf. This is if you're using the Lava Lab Creations chemicals specifically. Well, we did that and it still wasn't working. Now at this point, I still probably did have too much dye in the lamp, and honestly, I had too much wax in the lamp. If you looked at the wax originally, it was like sitting up to here. There was too much. So we did just do a full reset and completely started over. From there, went back in, added the recommended doses of surf and magic surf, and still, we got close, but it just wasn't that like really snaky, gooey flow. One of the problems I have, like the Lake Grade Jenna marbles, is the too much gene. And in these scenarios, I always tend to think, well, if I just keep adding more, I bet it will get better. But spoiler alert, when you're adding surfactant, that is not the move. If you start adding too much surfactant into your lamp, not only will you start to get really tiny little like blobs of wax that are just breaking off the main piece of it, but it's almost going to have an inverse effect to the flow. So instead of getting snakier, at a certain point, it's just going to start getting blobbier again, which surprise, surprise, is exactly what happened here. So for the third time, I ended up dumping our liquid, of course, into a reusable cup so that we could save it for the future, but I ended up dumping our liquid and starting over. Here I sat at the recommended dosage of Surf and Magic Surf, and again, it was really close, but it just didn't have that super snaky flow to it. So at this point, I went to the Facebook groups because if you're not familiar, the Facebook groups for lava lamps are where the knowledge is at. However, there is so much advice I started to get that it was almost overwhelming and I didn't know what to adjust because I was getting conflicting pieces of advice. It was like a lot of variables at play and it just started getting confusing. So we had tried both adding a dimmer. I tried running it cooler. Some people had suggested because of the holes on the bottom of the base of the wizard lamp that heat was coming out of it and we needed to make it hotter. I tried putting tinfoil around the base. I tried putting towels around the base. I tried doing things like putting it near other lava lamps to try and capture the heat from those lamps to increase the internal temperature of it. Neither of those solutions worked. I tried a smaller coil. I tried a double coil. Basically had no effect. And of course I was documenting my struggles throughout the process because that's just who I am. I just have to. And in that process, a million of you had tagged Lava Girl. If you're not familiar with Lava Girl, oh my god, she is amazing. She makes the most beautiful lamps, and she has a lot of experience working with these lamps, and having a super gooey flow is kind of like, I guess it's kind of like her thing. Anyway, she ended up commenting, and she was like, hey, have you considered trying the ozone chemicals? And I had never tried them before. In full transparency, I've become friends over the years with the people at Lava Lab Creations, so it's not that I was against using those chemicals, it's just if I was going to use chemicals, I would rather support my friends, so I use Lava Lab Creations traditionally. Anyway, at this point, I was basically willing to try anything, so I ordered a set of it. It came in. One of the bottles was leaking, which was a little weird, but aside from that, and the process for adding the chemicals being a little bit different from what I'm used to with the Lava Lab Creations flow, it ended up working. It is worth noting, I used their surfactant with the Lava Lab Creations wax. Didn't seem to be a problem, seemed to flow amazingly, and I tested it for quite some time after doing the initial ad to make sure that it didn't degrade over time. So perfect, we have our lamp flowing, it's gooey, it's black, it's majestic. And here I'm thinking, it's ready to go out the door back to its rightful owner tomorrow. But as you could guess, that didn't happen. See, the next problem that we encountered is when I went to go recap the lamp. First off, I thought I would be able to just recap it with any cap that I had laying around, and thank God I held on to the original cap for this lamp. Because what I found is that the wizard lamp globes have a mouth that is just ever so slightly wider than like a traditional bottle cap that you would use for every other lava lamp is. Not sure why Lava Lite decided to go that route in 1998, but nonetheless, I found the original cap and put it back on and tried recapping it. Before shipping out my lamps, I like to do what I call the paper towel test, which is where I dump it on its side and see if it leaks, and you best believe, oh, it was leaking. Now, when I originally got this lamp and uncapped it, there was an internal stopper inside of it. And honestly, I didn't think that it was like gonna be that important. I don't know why I thought that. But either way, unfortunately, when you pull them out, they're very difficult to get out. And every time I've tried pulling them out, I damage them. Now, at this point, I'm sitting there thinking, how the hell am I going to ship this leaking, dripping lamp back? And that's when a little light bulb went off to use laboratory flask corks. Fortunately, these were easy to get, they were cheap, and they come in various different sizes. For this lamp specifically, I ended up using a size 1 cork, which I was told after the fact that they are standard sizes if you are looking to do this as well. Sure enough, we put it in there and it worked. It plugged the lamp, it wasn't leaking. I cycled it a bunch of times to make sure that the heat wasn't going to pressurize and like suck it inside, you know? None of that happened, and finally, we were ready to box this thing up and send it back home. Anyway, that's what I learned from converting somebody's vintage wizard glitter lamp into a traditional lava lamp. Hopefully, if you stuck around until the end, you learned something along the way too. This is the first time I've ever structured a video like this after the series ended, so let me know if you enjoyed this, and if you did, we'll do more, and if you didn't, maybe I'll just do more anyway, because I had fun. You guys do constantly reach out asking if I will restore your lava lamp, and to be completely honest with you, my goal is never to get into being a formal restorer. I never want to charge for it. It just happens to be something where if the right project comes up and the idea is cool, sometimes I do take them on. But as you can tell from this video, they take a really long time and it stresses me out, and I feel bad that I have your lamp forever. But I am also working on putting together a form for the website where you could automate the submission process, so keep an eye out for that soon. Anyway, if you like lava lamps or 3D printing or just other weird fun projects, then be sure to subscribe, because certainly there will be many more in the near future. But until then, I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and happy lava lamping.